Hi, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Gig House Kitchen. Today we're making this enticingly cheesy veggie-packed lasagna. Good enough to convince even the fussiest palates into eating their vegetables. If you want to know how I made this delectable dish, keep watching. For those who don't know, a lasagna is made up of 3 independent parts. You've got the meat ragu, the pasta and the white sauce. So let's start with the ragu. Here I've got 300 grams of closed cap mushrooms, 1 medium onion, about 100 grams of spinach, 6 or so medium carrots, and 500 grams of beef mince. Now, I'm sure there are some food snobs who'll be out there saying those things don't go in a lasagna, but just trust me, the carrots add some nice sweetness to the ragu and you barely even notice the spinach. And this is a veggie packed lasagna, so if you don't like it, deal with it. You want to peel and cut your carrots and onion and fry them off in a little bit of oil. You want to cook these down for a few minutes until they've become slightly browned and the onions have turned slightly translucent. Next, you'll want to peel and chop your mushrooms and add them to the sauce. My boyfriend doesn't see the point in peeling mushrooms, but he also thinks that you can eat mushrooms raw, which I find really weird. Make sure to comment down below your opinion on eating mushrooms raw. Just like the carrots and onions, you'll want to cook down the mushrooms for a few minutes until they start releasing liquid just like this. Next, you'll want to chop up your spinach and add this to the pan. Spinach is one of those things that's good for adding into sauces because it kind of whittles down into nothing, so you don't even realise it's there. But obviously it adds a lot of fibre and a lot of vitamins into the mixture, so I always think it's worth adding. And for the most part, I find cooked spinach to be quite inoffensive in flavour, so if you are trying to trick people like kids into eating their vegetables, then it's a great shout. And then we can add in the beef. As you can see, I very elegantly just slopped it in there. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this sort of non-rigid film packaging that all the mince seems to be coming in now, but I really don't know how I feel about it. I know it's good for the environment and everything, or supposedly is, but it does make it very awkward and weird to handle, so we'll see. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so you'll want to keep cooking your mince until it's cooked mostly all the way through, and then you're going to add in 2 tins of chopped tomatoes, which create the base of the sauce. We're going to mix those in before we add in 500 ml of beef stock. Once we've added the stock, we're going to give the ragu a little mix before placing the lid on and letting it cook down on a medium heat for about 10 to 15 minutes. As you can see here, it's come to a rolling boil, which means all the flavours have had a chance to get to know each other. Basically, what I would do is take this off the heat because now we're going to make the cheese sauce. And I know some of you lasagna snobs are going to groan now, but I'm not going to be making a bechamel sauce, I'm going to be making a mornay sauce. But this is how my mum makes lasagna and I'm not going against her. So to make our mornay sauce, we're going to start with a roux. To make a roux, we take butter, a tablespoon or so will probably do, and I'm going to let this melt in the pan. Next, I'm going to add in a tablespoon or 2 of plain flour. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing this based on how much butter I've used. I'll let the butter and flour just kind of cook together for 1 to 2 minutes just to sort of take the rawness out of the flour. And once that's done, I will switch to a whisk and I will begin stirring in cold milk. There's some debate about whether or not cold milk or hot milk should be used in a white sauce. I've always used cold milk and I don't find it makes the mixture too lumpy, but some people think using hot milk stops lumps, some people think using cold milk stops lumps. As you'll see, when you first add the milk, it will really bubble up and look very scary and lumpy, but if you just trust the process, keep pouring in small amounts of milk in short intervals and stirring it together, and eventually you'll end up with a nice smooth sauce. So I think if you were going to leave it here and make a bechamel, probably what you would do is just add a few aromatics, but because I'm making a mornay's, I'm just going to add a buttload of cheese. Once you get to this stage of the sauce, you'll want to just season it to taste, so add salt and pepper, and if you want it to taste a bit more cheesy, you can add a few drops of vinegar or some Worcester sauce or even some mustard. So now we finally got the band together, let's assemble. So firstly, you'll want to start lining the bottom of your baking dish with the ragu. I promise my baking dish isn't dirty, it's just old and very well loved. Next, you'll want to add your first layer of pasta. Obviously my dish is awkwardly shaped, So I've had to break up my pasta sheets into little pieces in order to make them fit. Once the lasagna's cooked, you won't really be able to see how the sheets were laid down, so just put them in any way that fills the dish, really. And you'll want to keep doing this until you've used all of your ragu. I ended up putting about 3 layers into my dish, and you'll want to lay down one last layer of pasta. Then you're going to pour over that lovely cheesy sauce. Spread it around. And then last but not least, I'm adding a little bit of reserved cheese. So now we're assembled, we're ready for the oven. Just as a warning, this lasagna will be like molten lava coming out of the oven. So you'll probably want to let it sit on a wire rack or on top of the oven and just cool down for 5 to 10 minutes before you serve, because otherwise you're going to have a lot of sad people with burnt roots of mouths. So let's see how it turned out. So there we have it, a delicious veggie-packed lasagna, suitable for the whole family. Look at it, how cheesy. Thank you for joining us. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time in the Gig House Kitchen. Bye.